How's everybody doing? It's Sunday at 9:13 a.m. on January 28th, 2024. So it's 58 degrees. It's been 58 degrees since yesterday. It got up to 58 in the afternoon, and it hasn't went down. It was that way all night long. And it's raining like crazy. It was just pouring down rain here. It's like this hydro, whatever, of rain coming in. Lots of flooding and stuff, I guess, out in the valley and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just excited. It's 58 degrees. It's almost 60 degrees, because I'm all about the warmth. There's a lot of people around here just like, man, we wanted to go skiing. We wanted snow. And I'm just like, well, it's not over yet. It's only January. But this is quite a difference from going down from, when we started into the winter time, it was like going down to 32, and 30 and 25 and then 19 degrees and down to 15 degrees. Then all of a sudden it jumped. It was like the next day, it was like everything was, I was telling you about icy and everything, frozen over it. And then it was like the next day, it jumped up to like 56 degrees. And then it's been 56 up to 58. It was 60. No, wait a minute. I think yesterday it hit 60. It did. It hit 60 yesterday. And it dropped down as the night goes on to 58. And it's been 58 ever since, which is really bizarre too, is because between 5 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the morning, which I think it might be between 6. I think it might be between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock in the morning. It always dips down colder. It always has. It's always, dropped a couple of degrees and then it picks back up. But not the last 3 or 4 days. It hasn't, it's stayed like yesterday. It was like practically 54, 55. The night before that, 54, 55, all night long. I've had my windows open. I was just like, this feels awesome. But anyway, yay! And it's sunshiny right now. So, I love the sun. I pray for the sun. I'm going to get that nasty stuff out of here. Move it over to the East Coast. Send it to Washington. Freeze them out. Freeze out Congress. I don't know. Get the bad guys. Freeze them out on the East Coast. Which is really, there's some bad guys on the West Coast too, like the Democrat. I'll say, I don't want to get into this Democrat Republican when they're both wrong. They're both two extremes. Republican, far right, and it's like just so far right that they can't see anything over here. And you got the Democrats that are so far left and gone out of control. They can't even figure out who they are or what their body is anymore. It's like, it's like humanity. When I was growing up, we were going through high school and stuff like that, figuring out the body, right? Understanding the body, understanding the XY and the XX chromosome, very vaguely, but understanding that a male is XY chromosome and the female's XX, so it's like this foundation was laid. And then we get into the year 2000 and it's like, everything is like taking what we've learned and twisting it completely out of control with lies. It's like this big Goliath, right? When you think of in linguistic language, Goliath, go with the lies. The giant, right? So Goliath was this giant, right? And So, but if you look at our world today in a linguistic language form, it means, um, or, you know, it's like saying it's one big giant lie on the world stage. They're going with the lies. So the Republicans and Democrats are going with the lies. And people be like, well, why would that be? Well, it's because when you think about there's certain Freemasons out there. Freemason is free, means free. It's free. Free information, free, pulling it in from the ethers, pulling it in from the Akashic records. It's free. Um, and then you've got, and free as being the symbols on the Egyptian walls, or free being the scripture of taking the parable a certain way, of your perspective of it. And then Mason is like a jar. Mason is like even a sculptor, a builder. Um, yeah, a mason builder, right? Like a cornerstone, like Jesus is known for the cornerstone of the foundation of everything. Once the cornerstone is left, the building is no longer stable. So it's like taking Christianity out of the world. You take it out of the world, the cornerstone is not going to hold. Or when you look at your, like in a male body, you got your right foot, right leg, which would be Judaism, King David, and then you've got my left foot would be mother, would be Islam, and then directly up the middle of me is the sun, right? The Milky Way, where Ra's at, the radiant light. It's this whole system, and then your heart is right here, your intestines, everything is going down here, even to your privates, right? Male or female, an opening, right? And an opening, toot toot, that kind of thing. We burp, release gas. It's kind of interesting by when you start looking at the linguistic form, instead of like when I say people, when they read things, they read it word for word, and they read it just as it is, and they can only see as it is. They can't see that a parable is a story about something else, story about an issue or something. So someone's having a problem with something, right? And you give them a story, something that relates to it. It's so interesting because when I look back at even more at the like Little House on the Prairie, or um, uh, maybe Touched by an Angel, those movies, those things that they were teaching us and showing us, and the symbology of it, is kind of like saying that they were teaching us in some type of form to look at it a different way, look at the story a different way, look at the picture, the mural, right? It's like when I was talking about the 7 days of creation, you got the first day of creation, God, what was it? Light was created, right? It's like a light bulb, an idea. God got an idea, was created. The second day, the sky was created. When we look at the sky, it's a dome. If you look in the church, the domes have pictures, murals on it, right? The great art in heaven, the zodiac, the constellations. And if you know, another thing that's very interesting is that they say that we're on this arm, this galaxy arm or whatever, and we're traveling 66 million miles an hour through space. But the interesting thing about it is, how come the dome stays the same? So if we're a bunch of planets, crazy planets going around the sun, shooting through to try to get to the center of the Earth, or center of the galaxy, or the universe, center of the universe, then how come our the dome part. It's like you got this circle, and the zodiac and everything. They're all like a clock. Everything is stays the same. It doesn't like we don't go shooting past it. Meaning, it should be stuck there in that part of the universe. But if the zodiac and the constellations and everything else are going, that's like saying everything is moving, when it's not moving because nothing's changing in the circle dome. I mean, if you're going that fast in the universe, you would think that a constellation would go slipping out of the universe, being magnetically pulled. And that's why I was thinking when people get full, because, you got to look at the dome, right? In my body, the heat goes up from my core to the dome, the top of the ceiling, right? And it goes out the top. That, how the heat comes out the top of your head or out the bottom of your feet, or out your hands, right? The energy. I don't know. Sorry, I got off on a little tangent there. Maybe it's because it's sunny and I'm excited. I'm going to go to Fred Meyer's today and try to find some type of chicken patty or something. I've been craving chicken sandwiches, but I don't want to spend an arm and a leg at McDonald's. The prices now for, I haven't got it or anything. There's no way I'm going to pay that price. But those hash browns that they sell at McDonald's, they used to sell them for $1, and then they went to $1.50, and then they went to $2, and then now they're $2.50. So, but the sandwich, the Egg McMuffin, is like 50 cents cheaper or the same price. So you've got this big Egg McMuffin and this small little hash brown. And this hash brown is usually fried or burnt or not cooked all the way when you get it. So it's like, where are you getting these prices? The potatoes come from Idaho and Washington. There's nothing going on. There's no drought there. There's nothing affecting the potatoes there. And I say that because my stepmother's mom and dad, Grandma and Grandpa Deppie, they used to, I went over there to visit them and to meet them because my stepmother's parents, she's like, oh, they've got lots of money, Casey. She goes, when she goes, we're going to go shopping. She goes, we're going to go to the mall. She goes, now Grandma Deppie's going to say, what do you want? And one thing you don't want to say is that you don't want nothing, you don't want anything, because that's how we are trained, raised up in my family, to where you don't ask for anything, that kind of like thing. But Grandma Deppie's the opposite. She got all kinds of grandkids and her children as well, right? She goes, she thinks the opposite. She wants to encourage. She wants to spoil. She loves to spoil. It makes her day to spoil children. I'm like, well, I'm 20. I think I was 21 at the time. I was like, well, I'm not really a child. She goes, you're a child to her. So I was like, okay. So it was just so uncomfortable, right? So we go to the mall, and she goes, honey, what do you want? So we're going through, we see this rack, and it's got all these hats. She goes, oh, do you like these hats? It was actually, I think I still have it. I think I still have that hat. Oh, maybe I don't. No, I don't, because during my Navy tour, it's got suede on it. It was a black suede oval like hat, egg-shaped hat, one of those business kind of men, fancy ones. And she goes, what else do you want? So I'm like, aren't you guys going to buy anything or get something for yourself? Oh, yeah. But you're too fun. You're only here for a couple of days, so we're just going to spoil you. And I'm like thinking, oh, great, But I still felt, had that feeling in my being, like, this is not normal. My grandparents don't do this on either side of the family. She goes, oh, you want some Birkenstocks? They're about $300 here. I think you need some Birkenstocks. Which kind do you want? Let's put some on. So I was trying out Birkenstocks because it was summertime in Idaho, right? And then my stepmother took me to the Stray Cats concert, and we got really buzzed and drunk there too. So that was just kind of fun. But it was such a difference between families, right? My stepmother never had kids, right? She couldn't have kids, and so it was like her way of adopting me. Say, because my dad, he has three of me, my other two brothers are his kids. She goes, well, your dad's kids are my kids. She goes, I'm married to your dad. I've been married to him for the last 15 years. She goes, your dad is his kids are my kids. And she does. I remember when she was alive, she was always writing to me. She was always communicating. My mother's another story. She hated it. I couldn't believe how jealous my mother was. And I was trying to ease my mom, going, that's just who they are. Oh, she's trying to buy you. I go, no one can buy me. I'm an adult. I'm 21 years old. She's like, she loves to spend money on the kids. And they would send my other two brothers $100 here and there, And it's so interesting because my father never gave us any money except for here a quarter every time we come out. But when my stepmother come into the picture, she's like $100 here, $100 there. I mean, it was a complete change and a difference. And we're like, me and my brothers are like, we really like her. Not only that, because she was really super nice and awesome to my dad. So, and he needed that. And my dad, because my dad was a whoremonger, right? Slept around a lot, but he fell in love with him. It's like he went through life impregnating, my mom and some other lady, because I have a half sister that lives in Lebanon. I found that out when my dad died. But it's just interesting how life goes. I know I got off on a tangent again. But I think that's the thing about life and this life journey and experience points, right? It's remembering it, it's learning, it's growing from it, right? It's teaching it, it's sharing it with others, And, like the 7 days of creation, when I was thinking about that, and the third day, land and the seas and the plants and everything, so like now God is, on this drawing, so he's picturing, if we look at it as the earth, he's picturing this, he's drawing this realm, or he has an idea in his head of this realm, right? Because this realm is brought in by thought. Then you look back at the Egyptian god, Tha, right? Thought, Tha. It's like linguistic language. You can piece it together, the clues. And then going back to the Freemasons, there's good Freemasons and there's bad Freemasons. It's just like there's good people and bad people, good animals and bad animals, the same species. It's kind of interesting because we live in this world of positive and negative. It's like when I was telling you about starting a car or a battery, starting up our heart is a pump. You need an electric charge. You need a positive and a negative connection, right? A connection, an X. The X is chi, the two keys. Makes you wonder, right? And we're in the year of the X. What did I put down? And I'm Generation X too. Isn't that wild? Oh, I think Generation X is the snake. The snake being chi, the DNA, the two keys, right? Oh, that is interesting. And I'll be 59 this July. Anyway, feeling groovy, feeling like sharing. Like to leave a comment and share. Like to leave a comment, subscribe, share. I think that's the thing. Another thing about me is, and why I have such low subscribers, is because I don't tell people to subscribe in every one of my videos. I don't show these fancy beginnings and fancy endings of, these songs or whatever. I don't put that much into my videos. I don't, when I'm talking, put in a movie clip, that tries to capture your attention and stuff. I'm just not into all those theatrics. I kind of want to know what's being said, what's going down, and then, move on. It's like when I'm watching something on Facebook, and you're trying to figure these people that are out describing something that would probably like take 2 or 3 minutes to describe. They just put it in a 10-minute video, but most of the video, they're talking or they're throwing up all these clips from different types of movies to respond to what they're saying or what was being shown in the video that they're showing or describing or talking about. Another thing, that's like Theology Ed, that I show all the time to, his research. John, he doesn't do that at all either. He doesn't throw in all these little fancy things that keep you distracted, because that's really irritating. It used to be fun and funny, right? But now people are like saying a couple of words and then throwing in movies, saying a couple. It's like they overdo things for attention. And of course, that's what this whole world is. It's like you're a star. You're on the world stage. A star on the world stage is like they're always glamour. They're always getting attention. They always are seeking attention. And they'll do anything. They'll copy it. They'll follow. They'll instead of creating things on their own, they're following others and copying them. It's like copycats. Bunch of copycats. That's what people are anymore. It's like they stop learning and become copycats instead of discovering and being free, pulling things out of the ethers and being a mason and creating and building upon it, right? Building a new world. So if you look at God, he's like free thinking and he's a mason. He's a builder. You look at Jesus Christ. In the old days when he was going through, right? That's why he was going against the church, because it's like the church is our body. So Jesus is telling the people, because Jesus never went into a building and prayed. He was always doing it out on the land. They were always swarming around him, right? And that's the thing about this world, is that they think they even place Jesus in a church or a house or a box. And then they go into this house or box and pray. And they say they're of Jesus, but they're not following Jesus's ways. If people would follow him and follow his ways instead of, making Jesus as a moneymaker for them, where they're wearing big bling bling and big old high heels and sleazy looking dresses, tight fitting dresses in church. And, that's not following Jesus. And I know people are going to say, everybody's got their own perspective of following Jesus, but that's not what's written. That's not even shown in any movie. Even the people that were following around him didn't get all dressed up and decked out and everything. They just come together, how they were, how they are. They didn't put on a whole different face mask like these people who talk on, and they just talk about videos as well, and these women are putting on makeup, right, the whole time they're talking, and they're putting layer after layer after layer, trying to cover themselves completely up, complaining about some other woman or some other problem or some man. But yeah, they're putting a mask on right in front of you. And I'm like, that's why when people look at this house and they're like, oh, I'm getting old, I want to look younger and stuff, and then they either that or they find this perfect makeup that makes them look younger. Or they put on wigs saying that that's their hair. And then we get home and they got all nasty, ratty hair and their whole face is washed off. And you're like, what the hell? So people aren't their true selves. and they want to be different. They want to be better, but instead of making themselves better by working out and eating right and doing all that, they want to wear a mask. And maybe that's another thing about this world stage theater. It's the cover up. Have a great Sunday. Oh, let me look at this side. Doo-doo. I'll look down here too. Images. Now, see, you can see from this slide. Oh, this is interesting. This part right here. You can see something's being drawn out on my face. And then that too, that is just amazing. God's great art in heaven, right? We are his creation. Or even like I was telling you about God drawing the world. Now, how about figuring this out? God gets an idea. Light was created. Our blood is considered light, right? So God is building man, right? So on the first day, light was created, right? The light, the blood system. Open up your eyes, the light comes on, right? Close your eyes, the light goes out. You got, the sky was created, the dome, right? Up above, the dome was created, the mind was created. And I think even when a child is being born, a fetus, I think it's something to do with the tongue. I think the tongue is the first thing that's created, and then it evolves within this part right here, and then everything stems from this part, and it's the heart and the mind, right? So, food for thought.